Welcome, dear listener. This is Pastor Brian, and today we are delving on a very important subject that is matters brokers of resources. We are entering into the marketplace and trying to see how we can make sense in that place where value matters. Welcome. Today I have entitled my presentation as Leaders as Brokers of Resources. Leaders as Brokers of Resources. And the ancient script by Dr. Luke tells us a few very important things when we read in the ancient script where Jesus introduces a parable that was very significant to them because it is talking about things that are very relevant when it comes to doing business. 19 from 11 to 27, it says, Anthropos tis eugenes, Anthropos tis eugenes, a certain man, a noble man, a man of a high birth, one day set out to a far land. I think he must have been going to an emperor. And it seems like he had been taking care of a section of the empire. And he must have been very faithful to take the attention of the emperor himself. He calls his workers and he tells them, I will be going away. And I'm not just leaving you. I want you to have some autonomy. I am giving you this money. And he gave them what they called a mina. He gave them a mina each. There were 10 of them. He gave them a mina. And you would ask, what is a mina? A mina is an equivalent of 100 days work. 100 days work wage of a laborer, an average agricultural laborer. You know, in our place, we could be talking about something like 200 to 300 shillings in a day. And so let's go with 200. So you're talking about 200 times 100 days. That's about roughly 20,000 Kenya shillings. And then he gives that to them. This must have been a good man because he wanted these people to sustain their families. He wanted these people to do business. Jesus introduces this important prescription. These prescriptions, when he brings us this parable, reveals that There are certain things when it gets to real marketplace, there are things that we must consider. There are things that are important. He introduces a prescription, and this is what he says. He reveals that the fear of taking a risk is risky. The fear of taking a risk is risky, and very risky for that matter. For it leads to failure in everything. If you cannot take a risk, life is about a risk. Somebody once said, you cannot get out of life alive. And this is important for a farmer. If he went to the farm after, preparing land and having good soil, and he puts a seed and it does not germinate, it's sad. But how does it germinate? The seed must die for a new life to emerge out of it. Sometimes we are very, very careful with life. Sometimes we try to play safe. And we play safe with a lot of things. We play safe with our jobs. Jobs that does not even satisfy us. Jobs that we go on Monday mornings with pain in our hearts because it does not fulfill the desires of our hearts, and it does not bring joy within ourselves. And so we are in it for many other reasons except that it should actually do what it must do. He introduces this parable. And the instruction that this nobleman gives to his workers is an interesting one. He says to them, do business. He says, do business until, note that, until I come. Do business until I arrive. Meaning that he actually charged his workers to invest, to trade, to multiply, to add value, to make sense in the market. Otherwise, it wasn't going to profit them. And worst of all, it wasn't going to profit the master. Dear listener, this is very interesting. In verse 15, we see the nobleman returning. He returns, and when he returns, he is actually endowed with the kingdom. He seems to have had a favor from the emperor that he actually gave him a portion of his empire to rule over as a king. And remember, before he left, this man had been despised by a section of his people. He was He was overseeing. And they had even taken a delegation to the emperor himself to say, you know, this, we don't want this. We don't want to be ruled by this man. Sometimes life is interesting. Sometimes it is difficult to lead out people. We are not always going to be accepted by everybody. Anyone who is looking for approval from everyone will die a very disappointed man, because there is nothing like that. So at one point, you have people who are supporting you over an agenda, over a project, over an idea, but there will be always those who will be looking down upon you and always, coming around and about you and hovering around and about you, just waiting and smelling your demise so that they can devour you. It's always going to be like that. And it's not about to change. 20 years from now, the situation is going to be about the same. And so this man comes back, and he actually has been given the kingdom. And remember, he had given some assignment to some people. And as he came back, he had the right to reign over the realm. He was now the king. He takes over power. He becomes autonomous. And now that he is king, he demands accountability. He demands accountability from his servants. He demands accountability in what he had assigned them. There was a portion of his sweat that he had expected a profit out of. And he had given them enough time that they would make sense in the marketplace. Did they or did they not? There were 10 guys, remember? But when the report comes to the king, I only see 3. Check in that book. That ancient text of the book of Luke 19, chapter number 15, we see 10 being given the mina, 1 each. Equality. They had the same playing ground. But see what happens. Only 3 fellas shows up before the king. 7 of them has disappeared. That should tell you something. There were 10, but now we only have 7. What happened? What happened? That should tell you something. As you get into the marketplace with your idea, big as you may imagine, remember at the back of your mind that not all businesses that come into the market see the light of the day. That is why you have to be meticulous. That is why you have to be extremely open-minded. That's why you have to be good at it. That's why you have to have a team. That's why you have to have a research team. That's why you must have a mentor. That's why it's important to consult. That's why it's important to see others who are doing the same thing and see the challenges that they are going through and see ways and means of mitigating them. That way opens up for you the possibility of succeeding, because then you study it, you understand around and about it. Begin small. Don't be too ambitious, but learn the trade, learn the skill. Do not wish for a better weather. Wish for life. Do not wish for change of government. Wish for skills. Do not complain about everything. It may be all that you have. Some people complain about the rain. They complain about the weather. They complain about the soil. They complain about the country they live in. They complain about their background. You know, what happened to you could have happened to all of us. But it reaches a point that we have to put some of those things behind us for us to afford ourselves an opportunity to do something meaningful in the marketplace. So 7 guys disappeared into thin air. We have 3 guys, but even with the 3, there is one who is coming in late, and we will see that. So business is real life. It's not a joke. It's not child play. It may not necessarily be fun at the beginning. It's painstaking. It's patience. You got to understand what it takes. And small beginnings must be treasured. And good things comes after a long time. It requires wisdom. It requires knowledge and understanding of how things really works. You have to have notable skills that can help you do what you want to do. And if you don't have those skills, you should be able to galvanize a team that can complement what you can put in there. Business is not for half slumbering people. Business is serious stuff. I don't mean to scare you, but I mean to let you know that once you get yourself into it, you would better blanch yourself whole, immerse yourself in it. And it is even better to zero down to only one thing until you understand it better than everybody else, until you become a consultant in that field. until we know you for it. When you're beginning, you don't just, you don't wake up when you want. You don't sleep either when you want. You will always be sleeping late. When you are in your initial stage of creating an empire, you must have people, a team, who have bought into your vision. And at this point in time, I want to let you know it is important to have vision. And what is vision? Vision is the ability to see what others don't see. If you are able to see what not so many people can see, that may be a niche. That may be an opening. That may be a Pandora's box of success embedded in there. You have to have this vision. If you have the vision, it will help you a great deal. You also must have courage. Courage is extremely important. And you ask, what's courage? Courage is the ability to act despite fear. It's not that when you're courageous, you are not fearful sometimes. It is that ability to overcome fear. You have this amount of money that you want to put into this business, and you are never sure that it is going to be profitable. And yes, it may not be profitable for some time, but maybe if you stuck a little longer, you may actually make some money out of it. Friends, it's important. You also need creativity. You need to be creative. Every time I walk into a shop, a kiosk, a supermarket, into anyone's business, I'm keen to see how they are organized. I love order. I love symmetry. I love some form of order. I like when I get into someone's house and I see some symmetry and some variety, some depth, some light, and creativity that goes into making things really beautiful. And so, what is creativity? Creativity is actually thinking outside the box. Don't just do what everybody else is doing. I remember one time I was living in the neighborhood to an institution, and I had a shop. I used to bring in from far and wide suitings. I would bring menswear, vests and shirts and ties and trousers and boxers and all manner of things. And you should have seen how I decorated my shop. You would admire as you come in. always sparkled. And I would stand in there and I would talk to my customers, every one of them as a potential buyer to my items in the shop. I always saw money coming in, into into the shop. I always saw every customer as a welcome guest in my shop. I talked to them beyond normal. I encroached into their own personal lives. I I always gave them more than the items I sold to them, but how to use them, how to match a shirt with a tie, with a suit, how you have three executive colors of the navy blue, the gray, and the black, and I would tell them not to put these and that, and those days. I mean, as a matter of fact, one time a certain clergy came and he got really immersed in what I was telling him, and he said, "Excuse me, just wait a minute. Can you wait? I get a pen and my notebook to just write. What did you say again?" I said, "Okay, you make sure when the most important thing that will always make you look good is you won't go with a sky blue shirt, a white shirt, a black suit, navy blue suit, a gray suit." He looked at me and said, "Hey man, I've never heard this, but imagine it's true. And I want to go try all these things." Creativity. Such that the customer gets more than they really signed for, and they go home happy. But without that, your business really might suffer. There is also something that is important, that is self-confidence. If you don't have self-confidence, you're going to suffer a great deal. And what is self-confidence? It's the ability to withstand criticism. The ability to withstand the criticism from naysayers, dream killers, and all manner of two-horned, non-progressive individuals. And you will always have them, no, I've done that business, it doesn't work. It didn't work for you because probably you had some problems. No, it doesn't, just doesn't work. You ask them for a little money boost, for instance, no, I cannot waste my money on you. I know that business won't work. Then you wonder, where am I going to get the money I need? You don't need them from those people. You need them from somewhere else, not from those people. Those people are going to kill you and suffocate you. You need to run away from there. They don't exude good energy. You have to get away from there. Another thing is self-control. Self-control is the ability to delay your gratification. To delay gratification. I've seen many people make mistakes, serious mistake on this. They have this little business that is picking up really well, and they are making a fortune out of it, and before you know it, this guy is actually going into buying big cars, moving into an upper estate residence, and paying rent in there. It's not that they have bought the house. They want to live big. They go for vacations, and they travel far and wide. Man, at some point your business needs to be built. You need to have a backbone for your business to be able to stand with it. You are not going to siphon all the money that comes from there. You need to plow back into your business so that you can make more profit. And you can make it sustainable and strong and really strong to move on by itself. But sometimes we are mixed up and we want to please everybody because of the little that we have. We want to look, to be fancy in high and mighty. But you really don't have money. That money is for business. That money is supposed to grow the business. If it doesn't, it will soon run out. Challenges in the marketplace may change. A pandemic like coronavirus may come in and it will devastate you. And you will go back into hand to mouth. You don't want to do that. Now, let's go back to the story. 10 guys, 10 minas. 10 servants, 10 minas. It means each one of these people had the same opportunity. They lived in the same environment. They had the same opportunities. They had been favored the same way. But only 3 brought in a good report. And only those of the 3, it's only 2 who bring an excellent report. And that should give us a lesson right there. That for every 10 businesses begun, maybe only 2 survives. 1 gets stuck and stagnant. The rest, like the 7, collapse. That's why it is important to understand the marketplace dynamics. See, I want us to picture the master and these servants. The first servant of the 3 comes in. He's asked, "Can you give me the report of how you used the resources I gave you?" He used his 1 mina. And I love this servant. He used his 1 mina. He went in and traded. He went into the marketplace and invested. He went in and added value. And see how he comes back. When we diligently use the resources, the little resources that we have, we broker. When we broker resources, we come back home from the field happy. He says, "You gave me 1 mina, and look, I brought in 10. What percentage is that? That is like 1,000%. Isn't that not so? I don't know how much time he spent. I don't know how much sleep he took every night. I don't know how many meetings. I don't know how many doors he knocked. I don't know how many people he visited. How many, I don't know. I'm sure he didn't sleep for 8 hours. This 8-hour business also is a problem. Well, we tell people they must sleep well. Are you going to spend the rest of your life sleeping? How many contact persons? How many products did he design? How did he, what challenges did he face in the marketplace? How did he mitigate those challenges? How many disappointments did he have? He must have had a lot of them. And this reminds me, as I was working for Norsk Bokforlag in Norway, a publishing company that gave scholarship to students to raise money, to work as they raise money for their scholarship. And after we had seminars and workshops and trainings from the headquarters for a week, we would be dispersed into the all parts of the country. And what was important was we were made to understand the marketplace. We were even made as Kenyan. We are told the East Africans are very good salespeople. They don't get disappointed easily. And that's why many Norsk Bokforlag company picks students from East Africa, a lot of students from East Africa, because we don't give up. We don't get disappointed. We don't give a damn to disappointments. You see, when we would get into the field, in fact, as we were flying down into, for example, I worked in Christian Sand. I worked in Trondheim. I worked in Selbu. I worked in Tolga, Oos. I worked in Ruros. I worked in I worked in Oslo. I worked in Vik. I worked in many places. And as I was landing, you would see the arrangement. I mean, Norwegians know how to plan their commutes. As you land, you see houses, and I would always ask God, say, God, could you convert these houses into books? Because we were selling our products. Our products were books, literature, and you would pray that these houses I see might be converted into sales for my books. And we literally went into people's houses. And my friend, let me tell you, the more houses you've visited, the more possibilities of making a sale. If you would feel tired and sick and stay home that day, you are sure that nothing would come into your pocket and into your basket. We would go in there and knock on people's doors and ask them if they would buy the books. I remember selling Friskamat. I remember selling so many kinds of books. But the whole idea was to knock on as many houses as possible. In fact, for us to sell best, you were to sell big books faster before stock lasts. That is when that statement made sense to me. run for yours before stock last. We would run with the big books, because when you sell one big book, you made a huge chunk of money within a short time before that copy runs out of stock. So time was of essence. And the many houses you go, the loss of money you bring at the end of the day. And you see, when they refuse to buy a book, they give you what they call ventilate. We have coined it to be ventilate, but I think it is wait a little, let me get something for you, because they wouldn't let you go without something. They would feel guilty that they didn't buy a book. Let me give you something small for your moped, for fuel, for gas, for your car. Wait a little, ventilate. But in most cases, you would have NITAC. NITAC means no, thank you. NITAC, we have also coined as a no. You would be told, NITAC, I better move faster to the next house. So this man, this first servant, brings in 1,000% of increase. And the master is happy. He praised and handsomely rewarded him. He gives him to be in charge of 10 cities. How was that possible? He endured. It must have been difficult. Sometimes it must have been rained on. I would remember we would go with mopeds. It's cold and raining, and that is not funny and not fun. You get into a situation whereby you even ask yourself, is this worth it? Is this worth? And sometimes you reach a point where you actually must make a very, very, very serious decision. Do I go on? Do I stop at this point? But this man went ahead. In all seasons, cold and dry and dusty and empty and dry, and then the second servant comes in. He earned 5 minas out of 1. How many percentage is that? 500%. And even though he was not as claimed as the first one, but the master was still happy, and he rewarded him in equal measure for his production. He placed him in control of 5 cities. You see, when you are good with your money, the business rewards you. And you have to work that out. Because both of you are going to suffer should one not be taking care of the other. Business should be in such a way that when it brings returns, it should satisfy your needs and wants. And if it doesn't, you will die and leave the business. And also, if you're eating too much from your business, it will soon dry out, and there will be no business, and you will not have food on your table. And so this balance is extremely important, especially as you begin. And so business rewards. And it rewards plenty. You remember the words that this master had told to his servants, that do business until I come. And they went ahead and did business. And the business rewarded them. You will be rewarded if you should persevere a little more before you satisfy your gratification. You need to have self-control. You don't have to be a too much spender on the little that you have. The third servant comes, and his report is not impressive at all. He says there is no business that took place. I never had time. It was raining out there. Didn't you see? But that's not what he says. He says, and this guy is so arrogant. You don't deal like that in the marketplace. He said, here is your mina, which I have kept, put away in a handkerchief. And probably he buried it somewhere. He says, for I feared. He feared. He feared fear. Anything that you fear is your God. He feared. He said, I feared you. But what I see there is he feared to take risk. He wanted to have it easy. He wanted to have it on a silver platter. And so he gives excuses. I think he was eating from the master's table until the master came. He didn't do anything with his money. He said, I feared you because you are an austere man. You're a bad man. He says, I know you collect what you did not deposit. You reap what you didn't sow. Out of your fear, shows a lot of things about you. I have people who fear loans. Let me tell you something about taking a facility from the bank. Don't fear. This fearing will make you behave like this third servant. He feared to take a loan that was given to him and use and make his own money. He feared. And I've seen my friends, my very close friends, they don't want anything to do with loans. They have survived all their lives. They are about 60, 50 and above, and they haven't taken no loans. They say they can save money and they can have it. They can have whatever they want. They live, minimally. They have a car they can drive and they look good in it. And that's all. They have built a nice house and that's all. They have not tried to do something more than that. Because, for how long can you save? But if you are eligible for a loan, for example, if you should take a chunk of money, and a loan is simply monies that are lying in the banks. You see, banks make money by giving out loans and giving out facilities. Now, if you don't make use of that money, this is the money that has been brought in by people who do not know how to use money. And should you be smart with your money, that should be an opportunity for you. And thank goodness and thank God that at the bank, they don't ask for your grades. At the banks, they don't ask, how much did you get in your in your primary school? How much did you get in your high school? What grade did you have in your high school? Or what GPA did you have at the university? No, they don't care about that, really. The banks don't care. You know what the banks look at? The banks look at your bank statement. You guessed it, right? They don't look at your how much you've traveled the world either. They just look at your bank statement and they see if you are legible. They see how your money comes in and how your money gets out. They look at your projects and they want to be part of it. As a matter of fact, when they look at your bank statement, they will immediately ask you how much. If it is good, ask how much do you want? And sometimes they even come to you. Why haven't you asked for a loan? We would gladly give you a loan if you wanted. They come to you when you're good with your money, when your bank statement reads good reports. But this man fears, says, no, I feared you. Feared what? You're given money. You wouldn't use that money? And why? So you have to get rid of fear. Walk into a bank and talk to a bank manager. Ask them the possibilities. Show them your business plan. Show them how you want to make money. And I can assure you, they will consider you. And they might even partner with you. So don't fear. There's a lot of money lying there. Monies that you may not save in your lifetime. But if you want to go get it, you can make money. I have made money that way. And it's bringing me, I remember one time I took a facility from the bank. The bank would be charging me like 27,000. That's a little money, 27,000 Kenya shillings. But the project I raised was giving me 42,000 Kenya shillings. I finished it record time, six months. It was finished, and it started paying for itself and giving me some little more money that I didn't have. I had the property. It was making money for me, and it's still making a lot of money for me. And I don't pay for it. It's paying for itself. How beautiful is that? How long would I have saved to make that money? So sometimes we just have to take a risk. And as I can attest to you, taking a risk is the best thing. The higher the risk, the higher the returns. Somebody said. So out of fear rooted in total false assumption about the noble man, about the bank, we fear. So he went and hid the mina and had no profit to show for. You don't do that in the marketplace. It will face you out. You're dead meat. You don't do that. You're finished, man. You finished. You have to work. You have to add value. Then you make sense. Is that not so? If not, there's no life in the marketplace. Let us look at the reward. Was there any reward for this man? There is no reward because he was unproductive. The the nobleman snatched the little that he had, and guess what he did? He gave it to the big man, the man who made 1,000% profit. That is how tough marketplace is. It robs you even the little that you have if you're not good at your money. It will snatch it like pew. It will snatch it, take it away from you, even the little that you have, or the little that you think you have. Gone forever. And you go onto the streets and become a beggar because you are not good with your money. Now, there are 10 men given 10 minutes. Each did as he saw fit. Some spent it on a spending spree in fanciness of life, were not patient, did not take due diligence, and they ran bankrupt. Some saved and saved, but then it didn't quite amount to much. They would only return what they had been given. And so these people did what they saw fit. And there was no supervision. Nobody was looking from the shoulder. And when the honor came, he rewards them according to how wisely they used their resources. Those who multiplied what had been given to them received even more to use. The one who was arrogant and had failed to do business and brought back 1 million had it taken away from him. Now, but there is another group of people. There are those who had agitated that they are not going to be ruled by this master. They send a delegation that, no, we don't want to the emperor, that we don't want this man. Here's what happened to them. This is exactly what happens to them also in business. The master asked that they may be brought before him. And guess what he did? They were slayed before the king. That is exactly what happens. The marketplace will slay us if we are not kin. If you are not accounting for every single coin that is in your hands already. Ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly how the marketplace will treat us if we are not smart with our money. There are 3 groups of people. Those who spend and spend as if there is no tomorrow because they have a job. Supposing these jobs get finished, see, it would be good for you to create a side hustle that you are building on into an empire. It is important to do that. And if you're not doing that, sooner or later, things will start playing really tough, like it has been in the recent past. Because they have this job, they may not care much to build up a business. They fear to go to the banks. These jobs keep them stuck and stagnant. and they will not amount to much. They will not be happy. They will not have much. They will not travel the world. They will not take their kids to the best of schools. They will not have a quality life. They will not enjoy. But should you create something that you begin small and grow it, and you grow with it, that is the way to go. You may not save and save too much. Even the interest on the savings may be very insignificant. Some do mortgaging, spending many years, paying a lot of money to big companies, and they will never ever own those houses. You normally sell those houses in the middle of somewhere. Yet you have enriched some company over your prime years of life. I wouldn't advise that. That's not something for me, but I don't have expertise on that. Remember, as God's people in the business world, we are brokers of the resources we have been given. The resources may include people, budgets, time, wisdom, talent. When we broker these resources well, God will reward us and even give us more resources to invest. When you fail, you lose even the little that we have been given. This is sobering truth. We would do well to remember. Do you want more resources? If so, what are you doing with the little that you have? The little that you have been given, what are you doing with it? Leaders are brokers of resources. Leaders are brokers of resources. Can you go delve into the marketplace, add value, bring value into the marketplace, and the marketplace will reward you. God bless you. God keep you, that you may be valuable.